just going to bring him in. Hey, we got Rick Hubbard coming in on the line here pretty quickly. Oldham, sorry to interrupt you there, but Rick is
no, please.
There he is. There is Rick Hubbard connecting to audio. Rick, are you there? Can you hear?
There we go.
I am.
Beautiful.
Excellent.
Nice
You're
job.
free,
I love
man.
your studio.
Yeah. You like that?
Man's got to do what a man's got to do.
He's got
That's
glowing
right.
halos around his
That's
head.
beautiful. That's beautiful. Rick, we're rushing you in. We told you to show up. I didn't enable a waiting room, so you just came right on in. Oldham, you want to continue? No, that's my fault. My fault. I'm glad you're here, Rick. You're a big headlining topic tonight. But Oldham, finish off your thought there.
Well, the thought is that people run to where they can find more freedom. I'm doing that. I mean, good people.
Ask Rick Hubbard how that worked out for him in Broken Arrow.
Exactly. Well, the thing is that, and Broken Arrow is one of the better cities.
No doubt about it. No doubt.
And they're still horrible. We have so much work we have yet to do. But the thing is that it's the whole path of least resistance principle. And if you have the ability to move and there's an easier path out there, you take it until you're backed up against the wall, and then you have to put your foot down. But the Declaration of Independence talks about this, that people are disposed to suffer while suffering is tolerable. And that's what we're seeing is right. Okay, there's a place I can go, and as long as I can get there and afford to get there, I'm going to go there, and I'm not going to have to worry about it.
Yeah, because
and everybody else, it's like, no, go ahead.
Typically, people are not the aggressors. Government is the aggressor. Government carries all the force. Government always goes around crushing every people. Usually people are like, hey, look, I'll just kind of like go over here and you leave me alone. And the government's like, no, no, no. And they chase you down, stomp you out, take your car.
Well, let's remember that government does represent people. And the reason that government is acting tyrannically is because people want them to act tyrannically. We all know of, like in Rick's case, we'll get to that. And here, I'll just start introducing it. Rick basically got swatted. He had the police called on him when he was doing nothing, but exercising a liberty of his. And he was called and basically had a false police report filed against him. What happened to that? Therefore, the police act that way because they have so many people calling them.
I don't even know that we got a 911 tape. Do we, Rick?
Yeah, I have the 911 call, and it's basically there's two of them. There's a lady calling in that says, "Hey, I don't know if this is legal," which is fine, and then the next one was from the fire station number 6 in Broken Arrow, that said a lady, just a mysterious lady, had driven up and said that I had pointed my rifle at her, and she just didn't feel like sticking around, so the fireman decided to call it in.
Okay, so that's hearsay.
Hold on. Yeah. Hold on. Just real quickly, we're kind of adjusting the order in which we did things because of my ineptness. Later in the show, we're going to talk about the mayor and the cops backpedaling from the mask ordinance. I've got a confirmation from Craig Emmel that he's going to be on our show. Mayoral candidate. Also, Dr. Dart threatens us all. Right now, we've got Rick Hubbard on the show speaking about how he was oppressed by the man. And let's kind of revisit how it was Rick Hubbard got smashed down and how it is he's sitting with us today. Who wants to start with that? To remember, not everybody is familiar with the Rick Hubbard case in our audience tonight.
Got Rick.
Rick, can you share with us what happened to you on that evening? Just
sure.
In real short.
Yeah, long story short, I was out for a walk. I was open carrying at a park. Apparently, somebody didn't like it too much. made a 911 call. To this day, we still don't know who that person was. Haven't been able to track them down. And the police originally arrested me on obstruction charges, and then added pointing the next day, just to keep me in jail. They kept altering the charges to keep me there longer. I was in for about 3 days. Cost me, the bond was $15,000, and I was never charged with a crime, ever. They never could prove that I did anything wrong, and it lasted until the 22nd
Okay.
of this year.
Rick, now in the process of your confrontation with the police or them confronting you, David Nambroso, a mutual friend of ours, says that they ordered you to the ground. Now, you've been dealing with, I think you had a surgery previous to this, and you're trying to comply and get to the ground, but evidently they were a little impatient, weren't they? What happened?
Oh yeah. They showed up and immediately drew down and were screaming to get on the ground, and I had my hands up and I was confused. I was like, "What is going on?" I asked them, "What's going on? Y'all calm down. I'm a license holder. This is a pistol. Chill out." They knew who I was. I know they knew who I was because I heard it over the 911 call. So they said, "Get on the ground." I said, "Okay, fine. Can I come to the sidewalk so I'm not laying in the mud?" And they said, "Absolutely not." Another officer showed up with a pepper ball gun and said, "Get down now or I'm going to light you up." And I said, "Okay, fine. You guys don't want to listen to reason." I dropped down to one knee and he shot me 15 times.
Oh,
And,
man, I hadn't heard that.
Yeah.
15 times with pepper ball.
Yep. 15 times he shot at me. And
now, just so you guys know in context, in Oklahoma City, the detention officers at their jail killed a man with pepper balls. They lit him up. I don't know how many, that might have been closer to 100, but the pepper balls can be lethal. We haven't even showed that one was necessary here, and yet they decided 15. Okay, right?
Yeah, they and the funny thing is, and I mean this is just speculation on my part, but I believe it 100%. They were aiming on the side that I had a handgun. I had a handgun on my hip, and they shot me up and down the right side. And I feel like they were doing it to get me to drop my hands towards it in pain, so they had a reason to use live ammo.
Now that's an advanced chess move there. I'll say, I got to ask a question. At the moment they decided to, quote unquote, according to their glossary terms of enforcement, light you up, what did you do or say that made them feel like lighting was the time to light?
I don't know.
I mean,
To
did
this
you
day,
say
I don't know.
you jumped, you went for your gun, you dove to the ground and rolled like little Joe?
No, I
mean,
the
probably, thing is, what triggered them to all of a sudden decide it was a time?
I don't know. I don't have a clue. It could have been me saying, "What the hell are you doing?"
Have you seen the footage of your own abuse?
No, they still have my property.
Has anybody seen it that you know of?
They have no badge cams, Tom.
No. Nope. They claim that nobody showed up. Nope.
Okay.
Nobody that showed up had a dash cam or a body cam, and just conveniently, every single surveillance camera in the area was either pointed the wrong way or malfunctioning.
That's plenty handy.
He's lucky to be alive.
Very, very.
Yeah.
So I got
you
were
recording it.
Gentlemen, hold on, gentlemen. I got a couple of comments. Timothy Harper is watching.
Good man.
Timothy Harper says, "Hello, Rick. Tim here." And also Matt Gore says, "Did they know that Rick was recording prior to them shooting?"
Yes, they were very adamant about me shutting it off, and I'm pretty sure that that's why I'm still here.
Yes.
Wow.
How about that?
Wow.
Drive through, please. We'll bring it out.
We would only have the cops' narrative if Rick wasn't alive.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And they were, the first thing they did after they put the handcuffs on was snatch my phone and run away with it.
Wow.
And so where is the phone now? Have you gotten it back?
No, it's still in the evidence room along with my firearms.
I understand they pressed you for password, etc., to invade your private space there. Is that correct?
Yeah, they ordered me to give up the passcode to my phone so they could do a blanket download of it. They wanted everything. On top of the video, they wanted my pictures, my phone calls, my emails, text messages, social media, anything they could get to go fishing for something.
Let me ask the Davids a question. You think that kind of information wanted from Rick Hubbard would be considered social contact tracing information? Speaking of social,
well, that's exactly what they're doing with contact tracing.
So on the side, let me just interject real quickly. I think that anybody who runs for Congress and wins should be subject to contact tracing, not for COVID, but for contact tracing.
Yeah.
That's a joke.
Now, here's a unique thing. And Rick, I know you and Tim Harper have been friends and probably are closer now as a result of this, because he went through the same thing. In fact, the very night that you were accosted and hauled off, Rick was accosted by the cops over in Oklahoma City that very same night. And but his turned out a little bit differently, although later on Prater went after him, and Prater's still hanging on to him. I said, it was probably 6 months ago, I said there will never be a charge filed in this case against Hubbard. They're basically going to run out the clock and eventually give him his guns back. They were trying to shut you up, Rick.
Oh, absolutely. And the only reason it's done now is because I beat him on a technicality they didn't see coming. And as far as Tim's case goes, that's a joke. That DA should be brought up on charges. I was actually the guy that Tim called in handcuffs.
Yeah.
When they got me.
Let me ask you this.
That's a problem when you're both in handcuffs and you're calling each other.
Right. No. Like he was in handcuffs being picked up for it on the warrant, and he called me.
Yeah. So let me ask this. Are you in fact a current member of a tribe in good standing?
I am.
You are.
I'm a Choctaw.
Okay. So Kunzweiler had the pretense of dropping this under you being a tribal.
No. No, I had to file a motion.
Okay, so you
filed a motion. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. My thing is, I think Kunzweiler knew that he had nothing on you and he was just going to run out the clock. That's what I felt. And I felt like this ruling by the Supreme Court gave him a face-saving way to get out of it by saying, what can I do? Supreme Court took Rick Hubbard away from me.
Yeah, I could see it that way, but I don't necessarily know that he was smart enough to think ahead, because they didn't know that I was a Choctaw. They had every intention of dragging this out. When I went to court on the 22nd, it was to be held in contempt and thrown in jail for not giving the passcode to my phone, because the appeals court in Oklahoma refused to rule on my appeal, and they dismissed it, saying that because I hadn't been charged and because I hadn't actually been held in contempt, that it was inappropriate for them to rule. So it was just their way of saying, we're not going to do anything.
Right. And
so I went to court thinking I was going to jail because I wasn't giving that passcode up.
Yeah.
And way to go, by the way. You withstood a lot of pressure there not to give up the passcode. That was genuine manhood there. Nice job.
Well, and I think, I've got to throw this in for our watchers watching, because I know a lot of people are afraid of the government, whether it's the masks or whatever, they're fellow citizens out there. They're afraid of confrontation and so forth. Take a lesson from Rick here that when you just stand for your rights, it often works out in your favor. Sometimes you have to go through a whole lot of work to get it to work out in your favor, but it can work out in your favor. We just have to exert a little bit of, we've got to let go of the cowardice and exert some little bit of fearlessness.
No, I want to explain something. Okay, this is a little bit technicality, and Rick, help me out here on this. Both you and Tim Harper had the same kind of, I guess, bargaining going on by what terms they would drop your bail so that you could, in practical terms, afford to pay bail. And it included you voluntarily saying, okay, hang on to my guns as part of the bail.
That's
right?
what that's what Tim did. I at no time agreed to that. That was just the order. That was just the order. The judge just said, this is what you're going to do if you want to get out.
Okay.
So that was the order.
Okay.
For me.
God,
and
the judge needs to be up on charges.
He's a
well,
special
let it
judge, so
I'm
he's
sorry,
appointed.
but let it be a lesson to all that just because the judge orders it doesn't mean it's so.
It doesn't mean it's legal by any stretch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt you, Rick. Go on with what you were saying, please.
You're all right. Basically, the judge is a special judge, so he's appointed. It's going to be pretty difficult to get him removed, just as is the judge that ordered me to give the passcode up. Now, I went to that court date on the 22nd thinking I was going to jail for contempt. We gave that motion to the DA right there, saying that I'm an Indian, or I'm a member of the Choctaw tribe, and as a result of the McGirt case that came down on the 9th, they don't have jurisdiction. Everything, the warrant has to be quashed, and you guys are enjoined from prosecution. The DA read it, sat back, sighed real heavily, threw his hands up and said, I guess we're done here. And that was the end of it.
Well, let me say this.
Love it.
Here's a technicality in Rick. I know you got legal counsel on this. The interesting thing between you and McGirt said, I am a Creek Indian. This is Creek tribal land. Therefore, you have no jurisdiction. Now, in your case, you're saying, I am a Choctaw Indian. This is what? Creek land. How does a Choctaw have special rights in Creek land that the state can't interfere?
As far as I know, the way it works is if you are of any Indian blood and the alleged crime occurs in Indian country, then you're covered. If it's one of the major crimes under the Major Crimes Act, it goes to the federal government, and if it's anything else, it gets kicked to a tribe. So I don't know if they're going to try to kick this to the Choctaws or the Creeks, but I do know that they're not going to stop. They're going to try to get me prosecuted.
Okay, but so if you went up to Rosebud Indian Reservation in South Dakota or Mille Lacs Lake Ojibwe Reservation, you get the same treatment. I wouldn't, but you would.
I would think so.
That's going to be a problem for a lot of us who think the 14th Amendment means equal justice under the law for all of us.
Yeah, and I can see where you're coming from, and I kind of agree with it, but the way the courts are looking at it is you're not in Oklahoma. You're in basically Lesotho.
Yeah.
Is to South Africa. So
I
don't know
I guess that's it.
I don't know how it's going to work in the future.
Because remember, those of you who studied Oklahoma history, Oklahoma became a state in 1907. In 1906, the 5 civilized tribes wanted to join the Union as the state of Sequoia, and they were rejected. So what we've got basically Supreme Court saying, yes, this is the state of Sequoia, if you will. This is a problem, and we haven't worked it out. And the ramifications are much broader than the Major Crimes Act would say, because they weren't getting you on a major crimes.
No, they were just punishing me because they didn't like what I was doing.
They're playing little chess games because they're so far ahead in the power game against people like us that all they need to do is, look, they're not fighting crime, they're managing it, which means they got to draw out and pretend crime every time they can. So they see a guy going fishing and they're like, look, let's pretend a crime and draw it out. It's absolutely ridiculous. All they're doing is pretensing a crime to validate their existence. That's all there is. You didn't do anything. You're walking along. They found a grandma to call the fire department on a guy who's not even on fire. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right, let's finish this thing out, boys and girls. I got people chiding me on the line.
Okay.
Get garbage.
I have a question. Rick, do you know how long they can keep this going before you can finally get all your stuff back? Because they can't keep it for indefinitely. It belongs to you. Your phone, even though that's now out of date.
No,
but
it
your
was 3 weeks
phone,
old when they took it.
Okay, well,
You
barely
never
out of
responded
date.
to my
But,
email, Rick.
and then your guns and all of that. When are what are we looking at, and how can you go about getting all that stuff back?
Well, the statute originally said they had 3 years to charge me. I don't know what it is that they're going to try to kick it to Indian court, and I know they're going to hang on to my stuff if that's what they're going to try to do. They're going to hang on to my stuff and try to get the Indians to prosecute. That said, to get my stuff back, I have to make a request to Broken Arrow, which I will, and then I'll give them probably a couple weeks to return my stuff, and if they choose not to, then I'll file a motion with the court to force them to give it back.
Okay.
And as far as my handgun licenses go, I need something to provide the OSBI with saying that the charges have been declined. I have the minutes saying that they don't have jurisdiction, but apparently that's not good enough. And the DA is still telling them that they haven't declined charges, even though they've already acquiesced to the fact that they don't have jurisdiction.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
I don't get the game they're playing.
If I could, I want to give just a little advice in front of the Facebook world and online. Rick, this has got to become a political issue. This has got to be something that the delegation to our state capital, from whether it's Dean Davis, TJ Marty, all of them, they need to be able to be the champions for the people against big government. And the same's true in the city council of Broken Arrow. You're in the middle of election season right now. And I'm saying, man, people, you got to get with Rick. We got to start demanding of these people in office that they're going to keep the deep state from imposing this kind of tyranny on us.
And we got people knocking down statues and burning down Portland, and they're attacking a guy like Rick Hubbard for going fishing. We got a damn problem around here, people. And if you can't see it, you're going to have to wake up. It is absolutely 100% ridiculous. Rick, I appreciate your ability to withstand the oppression from the man, the ability to not give up your password. It takes a lot of guts and stamina. There's a lot of peer pressure going on, and you're withstanding it. I, for one, appreciate it. We're going to do everything we can to help you out.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
And I want to ask you, Rick, before you leave us, what do you need? What do you need from the people? What can we do to help you?
At this point, I would say call the DA and say end it. Stop playing games. Give him his stuff back and let him live his life.
But
The
now,
DA,
Broken
is
Arrow,
that Kunzweiler?
yes,
Yes,
Broken Arrow Police Department as well. You need their cooperation on this, right?
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
I need them to give me my stuff back, acknowledge that they lost this one, and move on.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And Tom, I'm telling you, Rick Hubbard, you can tell here, he's not a flamethrower. He's not a hothead, like some of us. And that, and Tim
No
Harper.
reason to call me out. I'm just sitting here.
And Tim Harper, the same thing. And I thank God there's people like this.
Yeah.
There's a right place for a guy of the calm, peaceful countenance and deportment of guys like him.
Trust me, you find a libertarian walking down to go fishing, he'll fold like a cheap lawn chair and a breeze. Are you kidding me? You can't find a libertarian that'll stand up for this crap.
Yeah, I'm just telling you, this guy and Rick Hubbard are doing the Lord's work in Oklahoma.
God.
Right.
Rick, we appreciate you hanging in there and being
All right,
on the
thanks.
show tonight. We'll bring you back again as soon as we know something more. Thank
Sounds
you very
good.
much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
See ya.
Rick.
Thank you.
All right. Nice job, Rick.
Yep.
Man, am I glad we are here for him. That's
Yeah.
all I can say.